só chegar a estar casado.
Being around another girl. Surely she wouldn't be able to play chess after all. But for some reason, I felt much less suffocated around her than my mother. One night, Amy's family and an array of nobles from both houses' social circles assembled at the estate for a din, the likes of which I had never heard in my life, filled the great hall. Everywhere I looked, there were people, people, people. Servants scrambled every which way. Silverware clanged against dishes in an almost constant hum. Voices from all directions. I felt moderately ill.
Hey Dee, I feel like we're critically short on waiters. This don't look good for us. And who is it who went about inviting everyone he came across again? Who are those people? They're at peace, like me. I met them at the court. Let's see, we have some painters, composers, sculptors, troubadours, poets, writers, you name it. None of them have any connection to the Joba or Apollinaires. Sure they do. They're my friends. And you know, this is me and Amy's party. You can't play with your friends. You can play with your friends elsewhere. I hope you realize we have a reputation to uphold.
Off in one corner, several men, presumably Georgie's friends, gathered in a circle. They stood out from the other aristocrats, both in appearance and the air they gave off. The clothes they wore, the embroidery hidden beneath their jacket cuff, their manner of speech, the way they held themselves. They were, simply put, a far cry from the hard-headed Didier's ideal party guests. Even watching them from afar, it was clear my two brothers ran in very different. The only reason headstrong Didier and free-spirited Georgies were able to get along at all was because they were brothers. If they had been strangers, I doubt their paths would cross much, and if they did, those intersections would be quite rocky.
Hey, come here, guys.
Georgie's shouting voice pulled my preoccupied mind back to the surface. He summoned his friends, then led them to where I stood.
What are you doing hiding in the corner, Michelle? I didn't even notice you. Allow me to introduce you to a few of my friends.
Oh, no, Georgie's put his hands on my shoulders, peeling me off the wall and standing me in front of his male friends. Socialization was the last thing on my... I searched for Didier, hoping he would come to my rescue, but he was off trading pleasantries, facing away from...
This is my baby sister Michelle. Be nice.
Georgies, I don't... Gracious, your skin is even more pale than I imagined. It's like something out of a fairy tale. And why have you never brought her with you to the court? She'd be a sure hit. And how old are you now? 12, mayhap?
Now, don't treat the lady like a child. I'll have you know she's 14.
All the more reason she'd be out there making friends. The whole court would flip if they knew you had such a gorgeous sister, Georgies.
Don't be a brute, my man. Our little angel has to be kept inside for personal reasons.
Oh, sounds like I haven't been showing the lady her due respect. I've yet to even properly introduce myself. How rude indeed. Their laughs grated on my nerves, and so did the way Georgie spoke as though I was his property. They looked like they were appraising me, which made me sick to my stomach. I had been paying enough attention to notice the man who had asked if I was 12, and the rest of them too, examining me from head to toe in search of courage. I was, indeed, underdeveloped for 14. But what did that matter? I didn't want a body shaped like Amy's or my mother's. Now then, milady, a proper greeting. The man got down on one knee before me. For a split second, I didn't comprehend what he was doing.
Go on, Michelle. He's waiting.
He whispered into my ear. That was when it all came back to me. The traditional greeting performed between a man and a woman.
Come on, Michelle. Don't tell me you forgot what to do.
I knew. I knew the process. I had that knowledge. Mother had taught me the rules, shown me the procedure. I was to present my hand to the man for him to... All I had to do was hold out my hand, but I was frozen. My body fought tooth and nail against the simple act. The thought of that man putting his lips on my skin sent a chill through me. Why? Why was this a traditional greeting? Why did I have to go through with this?
Michelle!
But at the sound of Georgie's frantic voice, my arm creaked up from my side. Then, I remembered that despite being his friends, they were still nobility. As wanton as his social interactions may have been, he still had a reputation to maintain. And I understood that. I also understood that, as their sister, it was my responsibility not to do anything that might tarnish either of my brother's names. Also, by tradition, the man wasn't supposed to actually kiss the woman's hand. The proper way to do it required he simply mimic the act, rather than make real contact. That much I could handle. The man kneeling before me gave an uncomfortable chuckle at my reluctance, shrugged, and reverently took my hand in his. He pressed his lips firmly against my skin. There was a vaguely warm sensation on the back of my hand for the briefest moment. What do you... Reflexively, I smacked the man's hand away. Georgie's eyes went wide in horror, and the man gave another playful I was merely offering you a greeting, my lady. Or is that even a new experience to you? Your innocence is truly precious. I was half a second away from throwing a barrage of insults, but I bit my tongue and stomped off instead.
What? Michelle! Hey, come back! Michelle!
I had spent all that time convincing myself I couldn't humiliate my brothers, but now I wouldn't hear a word of it. I had drawn a fair bit of attention, and other people tried to stop me too, but I brushed them all off, marching my way out of the great hall. I feel... You called that a greeting? No, that was no greeting, that was... I'll be taking that, I say, practically swiping a glass of water off a passing waiter's tray. With it, I washed my hand by the window facing the courtyard. But no matter how much water I poured over it, I couldn't erase the sickening sensation of his mouth on my hand. So I rubbed it with my sleeve until my skin was bright red. I wanted to feel something else, anything else, even pain. Think before you act, Georgies. What were you doing inviting people like that into our home? I was angry, and I had every right to be. He had not performed the proper greeting. Even in jest, he had no business actually putting his lips on my... It was not an acceptable behavior for an aristocrat. He was a guest. He should have been ashamed. Was I angry that he had been disrespectful? No, that wasn't the reason. It was... That wasn't very nice of you running off like that. At the sound of his voice, I couldn't turn back. I felt a sickening warmth almost directly against my back. Ugh. The man from the Great Hall grabbed me by my wrists, spun me around, and pressed me against the wall. the bitter scent of wine wafted from above. What the hell are you doing? I tried a second time to get away from him, and that was when reality sunk in. I couldn't do it. All the strength I could muster wasn't enough to make the man's hand budge. My arms were locked in place. I didn't think he was especially strong, either. He was hardly built like Didier. And still, I couldn't move it. You've got a tongue like a boy, milady. But I know some people are fond of that these days. Can't say I mind myself. Let go! Had I always been this feeble? Were my arms truly so worthless I couldn't even escape this brute's grip? Why did I have to get stuck with this body? Now, just so we're clear, I'm not going to hurt you. I'm no monster, I promise you that. Then why are you holding me against the wall? Because I want a chance to try and woo you. I apologize if I made you uncomfortable back there, but the second I laid my eyes on you, I knew you were a keeper. Then let go of me! But if I do that, you'll run away. And it's my personal rule to never let go of anything I like. Ugh. Your brother says you can't go outside, so if I set you loose now, I might never get a chance to catch you again. I wanted to vomit. Apparently taking my silence for approval, the man perked up and kept going. I love the cross in the chat. If you're not accustomed to being around men, then why not use this as an opportunity to get familiar? Not a half bad idea if I do say so myself. And I think we'd get along quite well, like we apparently are right now.
Yeah.
Besides, I'm a minstrel. Spend some time with me and I'll write you all the songs you could possibly want. Get away from me. Ah, you really do have the most striking eyes. Makes me want to keep them all for myself. With a muse like that, I could write the most incredible songs you've ever heard. I said get back, you creep! Huh, that's odd. That one's never failed me. The man brought his face in just inches from mine and peered into my eyes. I could feel his hot, wine-touched breath against my cheeks. It gave me the chills. I couldn't understand why this was happening to me. Panic and confusion had my heart racing. Go try your luck with someone else! I'm not interested! You will be soon enough, darling. You've simply never known a man's touch. Ugh! I hate that! I've always hated that line. He drew closer. He was already practically on top of me, but still he closed in. Closer and... The world faded out. I couldn't see anything. I could feel his rising body heat so near it made me nauseous. My eyes flung open, but there was nothing there. I could only I couldn't move. My body wouldn't budge. In my mind, I kicked the man away, pulled my fist back and slammed it to his jaw, again and again and again until his face was unrecognizable. Again and again and again and again, I beat him. But
Michelle! Hey, what do you think you're doing?
3 seconds. 10 seconds. Longer. I had no idea how much time I had lost. But the next thing I knew, Georgies had the man by the collar. I fell back against the wall, staring absent-mindedly as the two struggled. They traded blows and they traded insults. Before long, they had drawn a... While they went at it, I distractedly drifted away, and I only had one place to go. I didn't even bother to light a candle. I just stared into the darkness. My heart was maddeningly loud in my otherwise silent chambers. What had happened? What had he done to me? Why couldn't I do anything? The last thing I wanted to do was cry. Tears would only serve to worsen my humiliation. Only magnify how wretched I was. Only make me more... effete? I bit down on my lip, hard. I had no need for that trash on my body. I dug my nails into my arms. I had no need for that trash on my body. All of this, every last bit of it, that was why I was the way I was. I didn't know how to put it into words. I didn't know how to express this boundless frustration within me. But after enough wordless groaning, a single word slipped from my lips, and it felt incredibly right. God damn it! I knew good and well a girl should not be using such words. Even Didier and Georgies would have gotten an earful from mother or father if they were caught saying that. Regardless. God damn it! It was the most fitting word I could come up with to represent even the smallest bit of my anger and loathing. I knew all I was doing was shifting the blame. That all it would accomplish was making me look pitiful. But I would take that over crying like a girl any day. I let loose a sigh that was halfway to being a scream, and started clawing wildly at my hair. I wanted to yank out every last damn strand of it. I didn't want it. I didn't want any of it. Any of this body. But in that case, what did I want from it?
Michelle? May I come in, Michelle?
It was Georgie's voice, slightly muffled through the door. The man who had invited those people into this house. I would be lying if I said I didn't hold that against him.
Michelle.
But at the same time, he had also come to my rescue. Besides, I hated myself the most. I despised myself for being so helpless.
I'm sorry, Michelle. I didn't mean to hurt you.
It's not locked. After a few moments of silence, Georgie stepped into my room.
Your hair's a mess, Michelle. And my God, you're bleeding.
That was when I first noticed the stinging sensation in my lower lip. A metallic taste. I had been biting it much harder than I realized. And there was a lot more blood than I expected. A trail of it was running down my chin, seconds from spilling onto my clothes when Georgie's wiped it away.
I'm really sorry, Michelle. He can be a real ass when he drinks. And he's a bit of a womanizer at that. I never expected he tried to go after you, though. I'm really sorry. I didn't mean for this to happen. But, you know, there's a chance he may, genuinely taking a liking to you.
That just makes it worse!
So sorry. You're right.
You dumbass.
Mm-hmm. You want to be with a man you like. I understand.
He ran his hands through my hair as if trying to calm me down, at the same time cleaning up the mess I had made of it. It made me feel like I was some kind of plaything. A joke of a... I don't...
Huh?
I don't want to be with anyone. I would never, ever be comfortable with a man putting his hands on me like that.
I'm sure you'll find someone eventually, Michelle. Someone that feels right for you. I feel kind of awful for introducing you to him, but there are plenty of men in the world. You might not be interested now, but that'll soon change. It's part of growing up. You'd be best off forgetting today ever happened.
I was dead certain, but apparently that wasn't enough to convince him. I might one day meet a man who I wanted to touch who I wanted to touch me made my skin crawl. Why? Why did I feel like this? Was I just not interested in men? No, if that were the case, I wouldn't admire my brother's bodies. I didn't have an aversion to men. In fact, I enjoyed spending time with my brothers far more than indulging my mother in her woman's world. What I couldn't stand was that particular look men would sometimes give me. But why? Why did I not like that? I had no answer. My thoughts were only going in circles.
Are you okay, Michelle?
He peered down at me, his face twisted in concern, but I couldn't answer him. How was I supposed to articulate this? My anger, my frustration, my irritation, I had no confidence he would understand.
Georgies, how's Michelle?
Amy's voice came from the doorway. Inexplicably, I felt like someone had stuck their hand in my chest and was now squeezing my... Like I had just been caught in a compromising situation by the last person I wanted to see.
Oh yeah, she's doing good. Aren't you?
Yes, I'm fine.
Glad to hear it.
I was clearly lying, not even looking him in the eyes when I'd said that, but that seemed to have gone over Georgie's head. Amy, on the other...
You don't look fine at all.
She said, a hint of pain in her voice, and then
Georgies, Father was asking for you. He says it's time to bring the gathering to a close. You should get going. I'll stay here with her. Oh, is he? All right then. Sounds good.
Once the sound of Georgie's footsteps had faded into nothing, Amy took a seat beside me and, without warning, wrapped her arms around my shoulders.
It's much better to talk to another girl at times like this.
My heart leapt into my throat. But beyond the shock, I also found myself welcoming the warmth. It was pleasant, unlike the man's.
That must have been terrifying. But don't worry, you're safe now.
It wasn't really, no.
No need to pretend, sweetie. If a man had me pinned against a wall, I'd be scared too.
I mean it. I wasn't scared. I'm just disappointed in myself.
All right, I believe you. You're a strong girl, Michelle. There aren't many who wouldn't have been scared. I'll be sure to give Georgies a stern talking to about his choice in friends. Something I learned today is that he's somewhat of a pushover.
You're a lot more tenacious than I...
As a woman in this world, you have to be. And if you're not, well, you'll figure it out soon enough, Michelle. Of course, even as strong as you are, I'm sure it'll still be difficult to forget what happened to you today.
Georgies had told me to forget it as soon as possible, and Amy that I wouldn't be able to. Was it the difference in their individual perspectives, or was it the difference between the way men and women thought? I wasn't sure. As my head rested against her breast, a bit of my frustration slipped out. I couldn't move my arms at all. He didn't even seem all that strong.
Hello, Zend Out Monk. Thank you for following us.
Oh, thank you. I couldn't believe that I was really so weak.
That's just the way of the world, Michelle. Men are physically stronger than women, so you'll almost never overpower one. You're not any weaker than a normal girl. Don't blame yourself.
Though it wasn't the consolation I had hoped for, her words still filled me with warmth. I had exploited my own weakness to hear more of that soothing voice. And I alone knew how foolish I was in doing. That's not foolish, that's being smart.
Kanetsu.
Now push.
We leave.
We did it! Derval's best shot, and Meridian's still standing.
This isn't over. Derval said he'd make a VOD watch.
No way. To do that, he'd have to get into the palace, and that's too heavily guarded.
Get back there, just to be sure. I'm gonna look around. Maybe Derval's men left something behind when they planted that bomb.
I got it. Don't worry. If he tries for the palace, he's finished.
I really like errands.
Road tracks. With just a bit of blaze in them.
Was anyone hurt in that blast? Can I interest you in a reasonable share of a lucrative opportunity?
Follow the trail.
Buy something today? What happened?
I haven't had a blast.
Everyone
like that
needs a
since the
splash
liberation.
of color in their lives. Come,